Good morning. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday here in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of Gen Con, which just concluded on Sunday. And so I'm here, obviously, until I head back down to the Dice Tower Studios. I'm here in Indianapolis, and so this is somewhat of a local convention to me. And I did have the benefit of being able to be home as soon as the convention was over. But, I did kind of stay back later to make sure everything was shut down while other people were traveling back to Florida. So it's probably not a fair trade-off, but I did what I could. Happy to be here. Yesterday was a travel day. I'm going to make sure that everything is looking and sounding good. I'm going to assume that it is, unless I hear differently. Um, but yeah, back from Gen Con, or done with Gen Con, so to speak. And I anticipate that many of the questions will be related to Gen Con. I am available to answer those at the best of my abilities. And so if that hesitation tells you anything, I'm still kind of recovering. I think it takes a little bit of time. It's a very intense, fun, amazingly fun, but intense and tiring and exhausting number of days. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of get back into the swing of things. Got my hydration right here, my water ready to go. So looks like things are looking good. So I noticed that when we got started, before we even, as soon as I went live, 3 thumbs up, 1 thumb down. What did I do? What did I do before I even came on? I refused to take responsibility for the single downvoted thumb because I hadn't even come on yet. Now, maybe they were anticipating the drudgery of this particular stream and were like, you know what, I'm preemptively popping a thumbs down. Maybe it's because I know you're going to bump the table and shake the screen. All right, I accept it now. I take the thumb. All right, let's go back here and see. So I knew this question was going to come up. This is Jonah is asking, I got to know, what was your favorite game you picked up or was released at Gen Con? So this is the tricky part, is that the vast majority of games that I got at Gen Con were games that I haven't played yet. So it's very difficult for me to say what my favorite game of Gen Con is going to be. As a matter of fact, other than the games that I played at the booth with the publishers, the only game that I played during Gen Con was 12 Rivers. And that was one of my most anticipated games going in. I did buy a copy of 12 Rivers, but I would have bought it regardless because it was something I was excited about. And I did play that and I did enjoy it. We're not going to talk too much about it because I know, first of all, I need to play it some more. And second of all, we'll be doing a review on that because I know that several people played it already. I know that Tom has played it and Camilla has played it. And I don't know if Joey played it. I know myself, Tom, and Camilla have played it for sure. So I think other people will probably get a chance to play that too if they have not already. So it's hard for me to say. I will tell you that yesterday, which was a travel day, was an opportunity for me to play a couple of things. I played Ace of Spades, and hey, it's right here, as a matter of fact. I played Ace of Spades. You can see the little, ooh, shiny. Solo game, which was already reviewed on the channel. I really like that. Really good. I'll probably do my own. Either I'll put it in a roundup or something along those lines, but really enjoyed Ace of Spades. Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. There's Mike Heller, who is home now, I believe. Mike was on a a van. Might as well be a bus. Am I right, Mike? At this point, the differences between a van and a bus, although the van is smaller, so maybe you'd rather you were on a bus. Anyway, Mike is home, safe and sound. I'm glad to see that. How was Gen Con? Well, Loopy, Gen Con was good. This was a really one of the better Gen Cons in certain aspects that I've been to. As far as Dice Tower, let me focus on that. as a crew member of the Dice Tower, it was really, really good. We had our booth. We've had a larger booth the last couple of years, and so it has been nice to kind of get a sense for how to best utilize that space, and I think that we've gotten pretty good at that now. Our booth is generally very, very humming. There's a lot of people in and around the booth. We've got an all-play table that is set up at the booth at all times that we can use for our live plays. That works exceedingly well. We have a little kind of a back closed off space so that we can have either little impromptu meetings or maybe even set up meetings, but also a place to go back and have a beverage. And so that is nice. The booth merchandise area is large and it's easy to get around. It doesn't usually feel too crowded. So as a staff member at the Dice Tower, I thought it was great. As far as like Gen Con as a retail event, and a lot of people say that a lot of people bristle at the idea of Gen Con being primarily a consumer event. We can agree to disagree. I think that Gen Con is primarily a consumer event, not as much as Essen. There's still plenty of open gaming space at Gen Con. And I know a lot of people will maybe only spend Thursday, perhaps a little bit of Friday in the vendor hall, and then they go into the adjunct places and play games. But to me, it still really revolves around that vendor hall, the exhibitor area. It was a little bit light on big wow surprises. Well, not a little bit light, a lot light. Like there really weren't a lot of surprises, a lot of things that I didn't know going into Gen Con. And that is one of the things I like about Gen Con, is that it seems like every year you go there, and even though you've done a bunch of research, even those of us within the industry, and you hear things and you know about things a little bit early, it seems like every year there's at least one or two things where you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was coming out. That didn't happen this year. And so, maybe a little bit subdued on the release front. I'll talk about different specific games as they may or may not come up. If the actual question doesn't come up, I'll address it a little bit later. Excited to watch the award show. Yeah, that went really well. I think we were all very happy with how the award show turned out. A lot of work goes into that production. I have very little, honestly, to do with the production of the award show. I filmed a silly skit when I went down to the spectacular, and then I went up and announced a couple of awards, and that was about all I had to do with it, but there was so much work that went into it. Are the awards embargoed until you post the video? Can't find info on who won. I'm actually not sure on that, Katie. I kind of doubt they're embargoed, because we actually were filming, in our vlogs. You can see some of the games that won because we're filming the awards there. So I doubt it's embargoed. It may just be that people haven't been in a workspace to be able to put those up on the channel, things along those lines. I imagine they'll be up very soon. And I do know that the award show is going to be, give me a moment here. Let me look at the schedule. Oh, today at 1 p.m. So there you go. Today at 1 p.m., the award show will be posted on the channel. So if you can wait till 1 p.m. Eastern time, then you'll be able to watch the award show. And I recommend you do. It was a really good show. All right. Let's see that Gen Con haul. No, I can't actually. They're like all over here. I'd have to it would be a mess. But I'll certainly talk about some of the games, Marion, that I brought back. Mike Keller says he's just glad that I'm not still waiting for the sign to get picked up. Me too. Myself and Bruce Schwering were the two that stuck around long enough for the sign. It eventually came down. I may or may not have, I hope I didn't annoy the guy. I kept trying to direct him, hey, 331, booth 331 is open. It's ready to go. Everything's clear. You could drop the sign. I can be on my way home. But it took a little while. Did you decide to live in Indianapolis to always be Gen Con ready? No, Curtis, that was a very different decision. I went to Indiana University and got married and had children here. And so that is why I'm in Indianapolis until March. Oh, here we go. The next question. There's a rumor you're moving back to Florida. It's not a rumor, it's confirmed. Um, my youngest is going to be graduating from high school, and so I'm going to be heading back down to the Fort Myers area to be back with the Dice Tower crew, and I'm looking forward to that. And that's coming quickly, man. It's August, and my wife and I are going down there later this month to, we've talked to a realtor. We're going to be looking around at different areas and neighborhoods. And yeah, so we're already kind of in active preparations for that move. Sounds like you are in a sound dampened room with a nice microphone. Well, that's good. Thank you for that. It is somewhat sound dampened. I am in a residential, in an apartment, but I do have sound dampening throughout this space, which is why the cats are not allowed in here, because said sound dampening foam would be wrecked if I allowed them to be here. Okay. Which members of the Dice Tower team got to crash at the Midwest Annex, and who had to sleep in the van? Well, it's a no to both, John. No one crashed at the Midwest Annex this year, although they would have been welcome to, but it's about a 45-minute drive from the Annex to the convention hall, so no one was begging for that, since they all had rooms right across the street. No one had to sleep in the van, to my knowledge. Do you like Ark Nova? Looking forward to Sanctuary. I do like Ark Nova. I don't play it anymore, honestly, because it's not a game that I liked enough that it kind of became one of my games that I wanted to just kind of play more and more. I think Earth fills a little bit more of that role for me in that type of a game. I'll come back to Earth before I'd come back to Ark Nova, but I am looking forward to Sanctuary. Anything that takes a game that I feel like is a little bit on the long end, which Ark Nova I feel is a bit on the long end, but and maybe shortens it, condenses it, I'm interested in. Did you back Merchant's Cove Mastercraft? And if you did, is there a plan to cover any of it? Yes and yes, although I cannot give you a timeline on when that coverage may happen or what form it may take. If I were to do a review just on that specific expansion, I would likely just talk about the changes that it makes to the game, and then maybe just briefly talk about the new different roles. We'll just have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Someone says, I did not give a thumb down, but if I'm on mobile, what I click on is very much somewhat random. Terry or Halo, you have a good point there. You have a good point. America's most likable man west of Plymouth Rock. I'm just trying to get my geography straight here. Who's the most likable person east of Plymouth Rock, I wonder? I don't know. But thank you. Thoughts on Uchibakoya's upcoming Sky Garden and Dino Garden? Do you plan to back them? I wonder how different they will be from Aqua Garden. I 100% am going to be backing them, and I will get the upgrade kit for Aqua Garden so that I can have them all in a nice, all the boxes are going to be the same, and they look lovely together. I saw early versions of them at the Tokyo Game Market. I actually filmed some footage of that if you're interested in taking a look at that. Um, yeah, I'm very interested. From what I understand, each of them are going to have a particular mechanism that is unique to it. So, like in Sky Garden, I know that they've got eggs that are incorporated somewhat into that game, and in Dino Garden, I know that there's like carnivores and so you've got meat and things along those lines. So I haven't. I think the rules are probably out there. I have not read them yet. Just I know I'm going to be getting them. Uh, I'm pretty much right now an insta-back of Uchibakoya stuff. Did you end up picking up the expansion to Raw, or did your sense that this already perfect game shouldn't be messed with when out? So this is an interesting question, Will. The answer is I did not pick up the expansion, but not for this reason. Um, do I think that an expansion for Raw is necessary? No, I absolutely do not. But I am open minded to see if maybe this expansion, maybe amongst groups of people that have played Raw a whole bunch and want to just try to see a little different spin, a different angle on it, I'm open minded. I will certainly give it a shot, and I'm interested in giving it a shot to see what it does add. My strong sense is that even if it's a good expansion, I'll probably stick to playing base Raw most of the time. I don't think it needs anything. But the reason I didn't get it was because it would not have been compatible with my Pharaoh edition, which has the wooden auction pieces. And the edition that they had at Gen Con was the retail edition of the Traders expansion, which is cardboard. So it would not have been compatible with my edition. They did also have the Traders edition of Raw there, which was the whole game and the expansion with acrylic tiles, which looks really lovely. And so, potentially I might be looking at getting a copy of that, but I did not get the retail expansion there. I did, however, pick up Raw and Write, which is the roll and write version of Raw. So I'm excited to check that out. I have not checked it out yet, but I did pick that up. And I picked up the new edition of Botswana. These are all at the 25th Century booth, and that looks great. I have, hold on. I never thought I'd want another edition of Botswana because I have this Japanese edition of Botswana that I think is just incredible. So I thought, this is the only Botswana I really ever need, although I have several copies because I'm a Knizia. Oh, I always do that wrong. There we go. I've got an issue. But this version of Botswana looks so beautiful with Weberton Santiago art and the screen printed wooden meeples. So I did pick that up, and it did sell out. So, okay. Gen Con or Tokyo Game Market, two completely different experiences. So not either or, how about both? I was excited to see so many Asian publishers represented. I bought so many unusual games that are so hard to get here normally. Did you have any surprise Asian game finds? They weren't surprises, Marion, because I had kind of looked into specifically which of the Asian publishers were going to be coming and what they might be bringing. But I did pick up the two big hobby, well, big, depending on how you look at it, the Hobby Japan releases of Gibberers, which is actually not brand new, but I had played it but did not have my own copy, so I got my own copy of Gibberers, which is a cooperative language. You're creating your own language, so it's a cooperative word game in a sense. Very, very intriguing, unique party game that I played and really enjoyed, so I picked up a copy of that. And then I brought the other one, which was something, I can't remember what it's called, voting. And another party style game. So I did pick those up. Yeah, and there were some others that I picked up as well. How many of the games you got from Tokyo Game Market have you had a chance to play? Several, many. I have still my stack of ones I have not played yet. They're sitting right over there. I would say I probably still have somewhere in the range of 15 that I still need to play, but I've played more than that. So getting there, getting there. I got to play Lunar Trick with you at Dice Tower East. Are you going to review it or not? Bother, since it is not available in the US. Uh, no, I believe I am going to review Lunar Trick. And here's the thing, it's a double edged sword, Wayne, because on one hand, there is a little bit of pushback because I do review a fair number of games that are not readily available. There are ways to usually get them, but they're kind of convoluted and take steps. And so on one hand, I know that some people get annoyed because they're like, look, you're reviewing this game, it looks great, and I don't know how to get one. So I understand that frustration, but I also know that getting attention on these games, it's the good ones, right? Because not all of them are great, but getting attention on the good games makes them more likely to get picked up by a Western publisher so that, yes, now other people can get them, right? Um, Aqua Garden is a perfect example of that, right? Aqua Garden was very, very difficult to get a hold of. It's still not like go to Barnes and Noble and pick it up, but it is, you know, much more readily available now. And other games like Ito are now being picked up by Arcane Wonders as a Dice Tower Essential. You know, that game started as a small Tokyo Game Market game. So I think that I'm going to err on the side of covering these games that I feel like need coverage and hope that they become more widely available to people that are interested in them. Someone asked if I picked up Gibbers at Gen Con. I did answer that. Have you played Vantage yet? Curious your thoughts on that solo once you've had a chance to dive in. I have. I've played Vantage several times, both solo and multiplayer. And we're going to be reviewing it, I imagine, relatively soon. I don't know if it's on the schedule yet or not. I'd have to look. But I can tell you that the experience as a solo game versus a multiplayer game mechanically is really no different. There's no automa, there's nothing like that. You're just playing from your own vantage point. There's really no adjustments that need to be made to the game mechanically. I do think that it is more difficult solo. That's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing. I think it's more difficult solo, and I think that's for mechanical reasons that you know, I guess you can get into. I'm not going to be spoiling anything, but you know, a big part of Vantage is threat mitigation, and you have dice that represent threats, and certain cards you have in the game are places where you can place those dice to mitigate those threats. Well, as a single player, you have fewer places to put those dice because there's also a mechanism in the game where certain cards will allow other players than you to place dice on your card. So if you're playing solo, you don't have other people's cards to potentially place dice on. Anyway, we'll get much more into that when we get to the review. If your Gen Con week was a song, what song would it be? The first thing that comes to mind is I'm So Tired by the Beatles. Nice job at that register, Bruce. Yep, he runs registers. What is your beverage of choice while board gaming? It's nothing spicy. It's water, typically. Water or like a Gatorade Zero, but it's almost overwhelmingly water. Okay. 25,000 events. Yeah, look, I'm not saying that Gen Con doesn't have a lot of events. They have a lot of events. It's just a huge convention. But I still feel that the vast majority of people that are going to Gen Con are going there because they want to go to that vendor hall, buy stuff. Not everybody, of course not. Oh, is the award show on now? Mike says the award show is on the channel. Oh, on the Gen Con channel. Got it. If you want to watch it on the Dice Tower YouTube, it's coming this afternoon. Have you gotten a chance? Have you gotten to check out the Snow Planner expansions? If so, do you have a preferred mix of them? I have. I have gotten to check them out. I don't have a preferred mix yet because I haven't played them both. I haven't played them a lot yet. I think I would always add the puppy dogs. Why not? Why not add those puppy dogs? All they do is let you give a resource to somebody else. Yeah, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. But they're cool. I enjoyed what I've played. Any copies of I Made You a Mixtape at Gen Con? No, they're on the boats right now. I have the only actual production copy of I Made You a Mixtape. I have that myself here. And so no, not this year. It's still on boats, but due to arrive very soon, actually, in North America. Now that still means that there's time, before they get offloaded and packed and into the delivery trucks. But hoping by the end of the month those will deliver. But this year Gen Con was Soda Jerk. That was the game that was there and sold out. So Chris's game was there and it did very, very well. Who was the most memorable game designer you met at Gen Con? I'm trying to think if there's any designers I met for the first time at Gen Con. Many of these designers I've been lucky enough to meet over the years at different conventions. I'm sure there is a designer I met for the first time, and I'm going to feel bad for all those designers I met for the first time, and I'm blanking out on. I met the designer of Wine Cellar, who was a very, very nice gentleman. Who else? You know what? I'm sorry. I'm still, the coffee has not kicked in yet. I did meet a couple of game designers, and almost universally, game designers that I've met have been just really down-to-earth human beings, lovely people. What was your favorite live play game that you participated in? It may be, I know that I'd be unlikely to mention it if it were not, if there was something I didn't enjoy. But I really actually enjoyed every single game that I played live at Gen Con this year. I feel like I lucked out and played some games that I really liked. I think my favorite, though, was Kinfire Council. Really, really enjoyed that. I had run a live stream where they were playing the game, and while they were playing it, I was hooked immediately. I'm like, oh man, I want to play this. I hadn't had a chance to play it until last week at Gen Con, and really, really enjoyed that. The IV card games, Graft and Time to Panic, really enjoyed those. Now I feel like I have to mention all of them because I'm going to feel like a jerk if let me just quickly go through those games that I played. And of course I closed the file where I had it open. I closed it because I'm like, oh, I'm not there anymore. Here we go. So I played first. Oh, I played Ice, second edition Ice on Thursday. I had played that before a couple of times. But that went really well. I think the people that played it very much enjoyed it. And so I always love a good game of Ice. That was great. On Friday, that's when I played Time to Panic and Graft. Here's Graft because I have it close to me here. This is a card game set in the world of Tend, which most people aren't familiar with because Tend hasn't fulfilled yet. But it's a really good kind of big, chunky roll and write game. We do have a live play of it on the channel, so you can kind of see what that's about if you're interested. Then Saturday is when I played Kinfire Council, which was great. And then Sunday, I played Fight 5 and Wroth from Chip Theory. I had played Wroth and reviewed it on the channel. So enjoyed that, of course. And Fight 5 is like this riff on war, which sounds terrible, but it's not, because it's like you're playing 5 games of war with 2 neighbors. So actually, it's pretty cool. I was very, very surprised at how much I enjoyed that. Okay. Top 10 trick takers of all time. That will be coming. That will be coming. What time did the van leave on Sunday? Tom said he was hoping to be on the road by 4:20. I think that's about right. That sounds about right. Yeah, Mike's Heller says about 4:20, 4:30-ish. No, I moved to Indianapolis a while ago. I've actually been here for, gosh, has it been a couple of years now almost? Yeah, I've been here for a bit. Yes, you did hear cats plural. Okay, just kind of going through, going through. Were there any big surprise announcements other than the TI4 expansion? Probably, but not that I heard. So I'm going to be putting together the news actually tomorrow. The news goes up on Thursday. Um, and so I'm sure I'm going to be catching up on announcements that I may not have heard during Gen Con. I did hear about the TI4 expansion. I hear it's going to be a big expansion, so which makes sense. It's a big game. But there may have been beef, but I haven't heard them yet. I'm going to be compiling news, like I said, over the next couple of days. Hi, Mr. Mike. Did you look at the Gundam TCG at Gen Con? Not beyond just taking a quick glance at the booth. TCGs are not my thing. I know that sounds probably closed-minded. I have played TCGs. I just don't particularly love that model, that game model. But we have people on the channel who very much do. I know Z was really excited to see that there was a resurgence, and that's true. I definitely saw more TCGs and CCGs being announced, advertised at Gen Con booths with them. So that definitely seems to be coming. Maybe it hasn't gone anywhere, but it seems like it's more prominent now than in previous years. So I'm sure people are interested in that. When Chris Yee got back, did his head fit through the studio doors since he's a fancy pants game designer now? Joe, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can neither confirm nor deny that his head fit through the studio doors. I'll have to get confirmation from somebody there at the studio, and that somebody cannot be Chris, because I can't trust him to tell me whether his head did indeed fit through those studio doors. We'll have to, yeah, TBD, to be determined. We'll find out, Joe. Z Garcia, question. How do you manage to look so fresh-faced and likable after the grind that is Gen Con? Well, Z, I look, he knows the answer to this. He's putting it up there because I think that he wants me to share with all of you. I have a very strict morning routine. And so, although inside I am, desiccated and just racked with physical pain, exterior, I look fresh as a daisy. And that's because I utilize a very, very intricate morning routine that involves fresh creamery butter that I lather about my head and neck area. It involves a proprietary blend of essential oils that have been gathered from forests around the world. I can't specifically state which forests because I have signed a non-disclosure agreement on that. So between the fresh creamery butter and the proprietary mix of essential oils, plus certain physical manipulation, shall we say, of the face and or neck area. Between those things, I put on the illusion of being fresh-faced. It's a whole process. Do you have a favorite Spring 25 Tokyo Game Market trick taker? If not, any you're upcoming you're most excited for? I really enjoyed Lunar Trick. I really enjoyed Quasars. Actually, there are several really good trick takers that I found. There's always upcoming ones I'm excited about. That's the problem, always. Have you played Zombicide White Death? If so, what do you think of it? I have not. I know that Zombicide is something that Z definitely will usually play. I know that Joey, I think, is into it as well, Camilla. So I imagine if it's there at the studio, somebody has played it, but I have not. Did you end up getting your copy of Mannequin Collection, which is a Japanese Reiner Knizia game? I have, and I have played it. It's lovely. How can you love any version of Botswana more than the version that Entertainment Weekly Z Garcia gave you, which is entitled Thor? Oh, that's true. And is incredibly hard to find. Well, look, it's right here. It was just off camera. This is incredibly rare. And actually, I didn't want to mention it before, but this is also part of my morning routine, although I refuse to divulge in exactly what way. But yeah, this is technically, Z, I'm getting away with it because this is Thor, which is a version of Botswana, but is not physically titled Botswana. But this is by far the version of Thor I love the most, even more than Ragnarok. All right. And congrats on the Entertainment Weekly gig. I didn't know about that. So what's left on the Mike DiLisio convention tour this year? Well, I think it's pretty much what's left on most, if not everybody, in the Dice Towers tour this year. Next up for us is the retreat, which is end of the month. Is that right? Maybe it's not. No, actually, I think it's in September. We've got the Dice Tower retreat. We've got the World Series of Board Gaming. We've got Essen. We've got I think some of us are going to PAX, although we will not have a booth, but I'm not sure if I'm in that group or not. That may be it. I may be forgetting something, but I think that's, for the most part, what we've got. Between Time to Panic and Graft, which did you enjoy more? Well, first of all, understand I played both once, so it's very difficult to say. I think first impressions of the both, I like them both. I legitimately mean that, but again, I only played them one time. I don't know if they're going to hold up to future plays, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. I'd need to play it more. But I really love drafting, and so Graft, I enjoyed that. That had the bigger first impression on me because a quick playing, step up from like a Sushi Go for sure, but not that much more. Actually, as a matter of fact, this was really, this was cool to me. When we played Graft, and I think if you see any of the little clips of footage that were in the vlogs, it just worked out that I played that with one, two, I think 3 kids that I believe were probably each under 12. And it's not like a Sushi Go. Like, there's more going on than that, and they picked it up. Boom. I mean, they did really well. And so that was a good sign because it was like, I was playing, I mean, I crushed all of them, make no mistake. I won, and I gloated. I didn't gloat, but I won. I'm gloating now. I crushed them. But no, like, they legit were in the mix. They were able to pick it up. They were able to kind of figure out the strategies. the timing elements of the game. So I did enjoy Graft quite a bit. I'm looking forward to playing it more. And Time to Panic was really, really cool, but it's in the name. It's stressful. It's a stressful, limited communication cooperative game. Is there a game you could think of the Dice Tower basically single-handedly brought it to being popular? It's hard to answer this question without sounding like we're boasting, but I do. I mean, I think Comic Hunters is one example of that. I think World Wonders is an example of that. Um, I do think that the Dice Tower has a pretty big platform. It's a pretty big platform, and so I think there are some games that were difficult to get that got widespread distribution, maybe because some of the coverage we were shining on those games. And Tom specifically, when he champions a game, he's the one that kind of, will decide whether it's going to be a Dice Tower Essential or not. And of course, that makes a huge difference. Do you think you could beat Zeville in a one? Oh, why did I didn't make that? I didn't mean to make that smaller. 1v1 duel to the death in Senjutsu. I don't think I could beat Zeville in a 1v1 duel of anything. What are your thoughts on Crafty Games teaming with Plate, which is a Korean publisher, to make their games more accessible to everyone? I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. It's other than, it will upset Z because that means that there will be more L boards. The North American market, get ready. There's about to be a glut of L boards where the box folds out in a feat of engineering that this brain can't figure out to become the board. It's lovely. But yeah, no, what Plate does, they're interesting in that they are a publisher that almost exclusively, not exclusively, but almost exclusively re-implements, updates, republishes older designs by designers like Alex Randolph, and they also have done a number of, they've done like Liar's Dice, Sid Saxon, Can't Stop, things along those lines. They've taken those games and they've kind of put them in this new, smaller box size, and so they've got a neat kind of a niche that they've carved within the hobby in Korea, but now Crafty and some others also, because I know 25th Century have brought over some Plate games as well. They're making those more accessible to everyone. So I like it. I'm a Midwesterner, Lower Michigan. Recommendations. See, my words are not quite here yet. Recommendations on a good game convention to start at. Gen Con seems overwhelming. It can be overwhelming. There's no question about it. I would say Origins. Origins is a much smaller scale convention in Columbus, Ohio. I have not been, but I've heard that Geekway to the West is a tremendous convention. I would like to get there one of these days, and I know it's smaller than Gen Con as well. Those are two that kind of come to mind right away. PAX is a smaller, PAX U in Philadelphia. That's a smaller and less overwhelming convention. I think that's in November or December. So there's some, November, I believe. There's some possibilities. Hello, Mike. How are the games? How are you doing? They're good, Jordan. They're good. Do you have your copy of Brink yet? What's been your favorite thing about it? I do not. That I think will be coming soon. I played it. I played it at Dice Tower West, I think, and I really enjoyed it. So looking forward to playing it more. So I can't say a favorite thing about it yet because I want to, play it some more. Will, first time going to Gen Con and first time meeting the Dice Tower crew. So great meeting you and the rest of the crew. Thank you all for being so friendly and kind. Can't wait for my first Dice Tower event. Will, thank you. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you to say. And, that's one of the great parts of Gen Con is getting to, interact with people that enjoy what we do. And, sometimes people share things, I'll speak for myself, with me that are just very meaningful and kind of, remind me that what we do has some impact, beyond just kind of talking about games. And so it's really nice talking to people, meeting people. And I'm glad you had a great first impression at Gen Con, and we'd love to see you at a Dice Tower event. How far behind am I? I got 15 minutes. I'm just gonna, I'll keep going with in the order I'm in now, and maybe during the last 5 minutes, I'll kind of jump down to the bottom and make sure. What is the indie vibe like at Gen Con compared to Tokyo? Is it as predominant, growing? Never been to Gen Con, curious. It's really nothing like Tokyo in that sense of the indie vibe. They do have Entrepreneur's Alley, which is kind of in the northeast quadrant if you're looking at the map of the vendor hall. And that is where kind of the new publishers will go. They kind of will start there, and then if they continue to, why am I looking? I'm looking at the camera beyond my webcam as if that's where I'm talking to. I'm not, I'm talking right here, sorry. I see a camera, I look. It's a thing now. It is not the same, but it is nice to see that. There's some really cool games that I've discovered over the years in Entrepreneur's Alley. And it's also been neat seeing publishers that have kind of moved to bigger booths in more central locations that started there. And maybe the first interactions I had with them were there. So it's not the same vibe at all, although that is there. They also have like a big prototype area. So it's there, not as predominant, I would say, as Tokyo. I don't know where here is for you, Terrier Halo, but Soda Jerk, I know, I mean, unless it's sold out, I think you can buy it on the All Play website. So you can take a look there. I'm not sure what the stock level is. Oh, really enjoyed playing the prototype of Class of '89. That's Paverson, I think. I didn't see the prototype of it. I didn't even know the prototype was there. That's cool. That's very cool. I know the Paverson booth, man, was really, really humming at like, whew. Best vocalist in music you enjoy, you can only pick one. Well, I'm going to talk about punk. That's, so the best vocalist in punk, probably Greg Graffin from Bad Religion, and maybe I'm saying that because I'm going to see them in concert tonight, along with the Dropkick Murphys, but he's a great vocalist. Okay, let's get to this question. There's no right or wrong answer, I think, in my opinion, because I understand both sides. How do you feel about publishers selling Kickstarter or deluxe editions of games at Gen Con before it's been fulfilled? I understand the frustration because I've been there several times. I've backed Kickstarter games, the deluxe all-in Kickstarter games, have gone to a convention like Gen Con or Essen. Before I've received the game, it's been on sale. I get the frustration. However, my opinion on it is unless the publisher is saying specifically on their crowdfunding page that you will get these games before any convention sales. If they say that and then don't do that, sure, I don't think that that's cool. But I have found that more and more often, if you actually look at the pages, they will put on there that they may have small amounts of convention sales that are happening before the game is released. I think so many of these publishers, to be fiscally viable, need to need to sell these games to be able to be profitable, okay? And although we all love games and we have to understand that it is a business, and if you want people to continue to put out games, they have to be able to turn a profit, or else they can't make these games anymore. And so, of course, there are going to be some publishers, there are going to be some edge cases where they're taking advantage, where they promise something and they don't fulfill that promise. I'm not standing up and saying that that's okay. What I'm saying is that generally speaking, it does not bother me because I know that it's part of it now. You know, Kickstarter, GameFound, you know, it's still a crowdfunding thing. You're still not even guaranteed to get the game. So I know that for it to be a viable platform, you have to be able to fulfill these things or people will just not back your stuff anymore. But this is one, and I completely respect people that have the opposing opinion. Completely respect it. My opinion, it does not bother me unless they are breaking a explicit promise they made. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, I'm going to feel bad. I'm not going to be able to answer all these. Let me see if there's... Ashwin, what is one thing you would change about Gen Con? I think it would probably be easier access to free water. It's there, right? You don't have to go pay for water if you want to get a drink at Gen Con, but it's not as prevalent as I would like. That would be cool if there was just more access to free water. That's the first thing that comes in mind. Actually, I mean, they run a pretty good convention from what I can see. And there's also probably something I'm forgetting. Did they state that the game they're playing is 12 Rivers? I wouldn't be surprised. Um, I know they're playing a game from Gen Con live today. Actually, I better check out what time that is and make sure that I don't need to end early. Thank you for bringing that up. That live play is at, 10, yes. So, very good. So I'll make sure that I end this actually with a couple of minutes to spare. Maybe it is 12 Rivers. I don't know. I'm really glad you asked that question. Okay, I'm scooting down to the bottom. I did answer both of your well-worded questions. Fat Mike, he's a vocalist and he has his own style that I respect, but I don't think I would call him the best vocalist. Wow, and another person saying no effects. Really? Okay, I get it. I like no effects, but it's not really for the vocals. Although they got better over the years, I will say that. Oh, you're in Sweden, Terrier Halo. Yeah, I can't speak to the releases there. Sorry. This was a mistake I made, Nicholas. Yeah, I blew it. It was supposed to be on there. That was just sometimes when you're doing these lists, there's so much compiling of data from different places that something falls through the cracks, and that 100% was one. Are those white boxes unsettled? Why are they out of the cardboard individual boxes? They are, and they need to be recycled. It's because I got, they had some adjusted ones that fit the sleeved cards better. And so I'm just saving that till a trip that I can go to the recycling right there. Are there any large Chileans you most look forward to seeing at the upcoming Dice Tower retreat? I cannot speak to large Chileans, but I really am looking forward to finally meeting Gabby for the first time, although it's going to be weird because I feel like I know him very, very well and consider him a personal friend that I've never actually met in real life. There will be more Vantage coverage. I promise you. I promise you. But let me just say this, and this is not directed to your inner child specifically, but Vantage is a game that I really think does not benefit necessarily from immediate coverage. It's a game that's all about exploration. It is a box filled with cards, thousands of cards. And so I think it will help to play it, a number of times before you get into the actual review portion of it. And I think that's going to be the plan. I did not play the new prototype game from Cardboard Alchemy, unfortunately. Did you see the solo game called Anota at Gen Con? Did you pick it up? Any plays yet? I actually, I did see it. I got an early version of Anota from Salt and Pepper at Essen last year, and so I have played it. I've played it several times. I like it a great deal, but there's been no coverage because it wasn't released until now. But yeah, I played Anota a lot. And talk about a compelling theme. A lot of people are asking about the Dice Tower Awards. It's going to be later today on the channel. What was the most advertised game at the convention? This is an interesting question. I think, my personal opinion, is that the most advertised game was Lightning Train. That's my opinion. So really quickly, I'll talk about the games I think were probably the biggest ones, and then I'm going to get out of here so you can stay right here and watch the live play. Lightning Train seemed to be very popular. Battle for Hoth, is it Battle for or of? Either way, very, very popular. 12 Rivers was selling out every day. Ace of Spades was selling out of their allocation every day. There were others. Those seem to be the big ones. All right, folks, I'm going to cut it a little bit short here. And thank you for all of your questions and everything. And that's because I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to jump on to the upcoming stream, which is for a live play of something at Gen Con. Someone mentioned 12 Rivers. Will it be that? I don't know. Maybe it is. Mike Heller just put up the link for you. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Go hop over and watch whatever they're playing, because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go watch it. All right. Until next time, everyone, take care. Thank you so much. Outro.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.